learn our past.
Kaninong bus? Hindi. Clarify lang sa bus.
Kaninong bus? With who?
Our Philippines.
That's not giving na mas mahal pa talaga ang nilalagyan kaysa sa expert sa atin. Do better governance officials. So basically, ano din yung mag-trade mga Pilipinas guys. Di ba Faith? Mga tagas din ko ano.
Tax.
Ito tayo nun eh. Result pag Aray. Another perspective. Another historian. Exactly. So when someone says Philippine history started with colonization, so basically we're like, bestie, fake news yan. It's historically incorrect. Historically incorrect. Hello mga ka-chika! I am Donna.
I am Juan.
And today, welcome to Chika ni Marites,
Sinulat ni Juan.
the podcast where history is not worthy. Promise, hindi yung recitation vibes.
True, dito sa podcast na to, parang nasa cafe lang tayo. Nagkakape, nagchichika, pero make it Philippine history. So today's episode is about a very interesting historical account written by the Chinese author, Chao Jua-Kua.
Oh, so basically guys, si Chao Jua-Kua ay parang ancient version ng travel blogger, pero hindi to yung blogger na nakikita natin sa Reels.
Okay,
Imagine mo, nagde-describe siya ng Philippines noong 13th century pa. Diba?
oo nga. So in this podcast, hindi to about sa mga Marites lang ha. It's about Philippine history, but make it fun lang. Para di kang boring.
Yes. It's about gaining knowledge through podcasts. We're not only talking about different types of gossip, but we're gossiping about history. Something that you can learn something about. So, kasama natin, we have our cafe buddies that will be joining us one by one. So first we have...
Hello.
My name is Kristen May, and today I'm going to learn more about Philippine history.
So, Christy. Don't feel pressured. It's okay. So, what can you say about yourself? What do you
I'm a
study?
curious kind of person, so I'm gonna learn a lot today.
Yeah.
So since you're curious, you're like, you wanna learn history, di ba? Okay, here's mga
So, next we have... Hi, I am Faith, and I am very much excited to learn about history today.
Wow. Sana all.
So, next we have our next guest. All black.
Oh, naka-vlog siya na eh.
So, hi, I am Krishnavina Matas. I am very excited for today's history, Chika.
Wow. Ikaw lang mag-host.
Okay, next we have our next guest, which is...
Wow! Universe yan. Ating sa Manalo.
Hadi sa Manalo. Hadi sa Manalo.
Yeah, so hi, I am Julian B. Torres Latina from Mangla.
My
iPad.
Next, we have
Wait.
on the green corner.
Skateboard
With
kanta yan?
25 wins and zero losses. Ready to conquer the blue corner.
Hello, guys. I am Ronald Marantante and
December 25, Daddy Ro! May pinapakita siya sa akin. Mag-brief ka na! Mag-brief ka na!
I'm also excited to learn new things and to learn our past.
Ano ba?
Kanino?
Hindi, clarify lang sa bus.
Kaninong bus? With whom?
Philippines.
Wala.
Kaya mag-broken cities tayo.
Okay.
Sino ba sunod?
So next we have
Wow!
beautiful and white.
You're all that I believe in. With all my heart, I mean every word. So as long as I live, I love you. Will have and hold you. You look so beautiful in white. And from now to my very
Kinasal?
Hi, I am Jean, and today I'm gonna be learning more about history and this person we are gonna talk about. Kinsa man na ako steak.
Sugar daddy ko yun, best.
Pero ko Chinese ang
Chinese na nga, person, no? Chinese na sila.
Of Europe.
Wow. Last but not the least, we have
airtime.
Hello everyone, I am Dea and I'm also very excited to have our historical Chika. So let's give it up for our guest today. Wow. Yeah, love you. Our history squad.
So, hi guys! So, ready na ba kayo sa big revelation?
Of course.
Mr. Chika, but make it fun and sus.
So quick context muna. Chao Jua-Kua was a Chinese official during the Song Dynasty. Around 1225, he wrote a book called Zhu Fanji, which describes foreign lands including the Philippines.
So basically, Chao Jua-Kua wrote about different countries that were connected to China's trade. So parang siya yung nag-compile ng mga impormasyon tungkol sa iba't ibang countries na nakikipag-trade sa China at that time. Okay?
And yes, kasama doon ang Philippines, specifically places like Mai, which historians believe was Mindoro.
Oh, according niya, si Chao Jua-Kua is ang mga may daw ay honest traders, like kung may utang ka, bayaran ka ng kanila, bawal sa fake chat.
Oh my God!
Hindi nag-apply na ni fake.
Honestly, that's kind of wholesome. Like, imagine ganun, yung walang mga scam, walang mga fake sellers, yung walang fake is the king.
And by the way, he also mentioned that Filipinos traded products like beeswax, cotton, pearls, and tortoise shells.
So basically, kahit noon pa man, we're very active in the international trades. Global era before globalization was cool.
Isa punta na kasi, hindi ito na-maintain ng maayos. Like, it's not giving na mas mahal pa talaga ang yung nag-import kasi sa export sa atin. Do better, government officials.
Yes, of course.
Talagang galit sa mga props.
One of the major important things to remember though is the account was written by a Chinese outsider. Pilipinas. Sabi niyo.
So basically, parang sa meaning, possible na may bias or limited perspective. Kumbaga, POV yun ni Chao Jua-Kua as a businessman and hindi natin alam ang totoong storya ng mga Pilipino noon.
So, exactly. He described Filipinos mainly through China because it was focused on commerce.
Okay, so parang hindi siya from a business perspective.
Yeah, like that. This kind of reminds me of like way back when I was in high school being an ABM student. I kind of miss dealing with the different accounts and the money all around the accounting management track. So
Parang CEO ang kapatid.
you know what to like it. Now let's compare it with another historical account by Antonio Pigafetta during the Magellan expedition.
On March 16, 1521, when Philippines was discovered by Magellan, they were sailing day and night across the big ocean until they saw small Limasawa Island.
Best as fake news. Best friend.
So, sino nga ba si Antonio Pigafetta?
Ko yan.
Tatay ko yan.
So, Antonio Pigafetta is the author of the book, The Great Voyage Around the World. Hindi ako nagkakamali. And in his book, he wrote the communities back in the 16th century, communities of Filipinos, especially when they arrived in Cebu. So, so through his observation, mas nakita natin kung paano namumuhay ang mga communities, mga ancestors natin noon dito sa Pilipinas.
And you also mentioned that Filipinos were skilled traders and have organized communities. So basically, mag-trade mga Filipinos guys. Di ba, Faith? Mga tagas, ano?
Good trade.
Okay, so parang agree tayo in one thing lahat. Filipinos were already engaged in trade even before colonization, before the Spaniards inabot din sa Philippines.
Oh yes, agree.
So, but there's difference though. Like, Chao Jua-Kua talked about trades and connections, while Pigafetta described culture, traditions, and even food. So basically, Pigafetta gave us the day in the life of the early versions of Filipinos noon, malamang.
Meanwhile, si Chao Jua-Kua gave us the economic report version. Parang sinaunang.
Parang business type Chao Jua-Kua.
So ang tanong, why does this matter today? Bakit pa bumabalik at nag-reminisce tayo sa mga issue natin? Bakit nabalikan yung past? Ay, minumulto?
ng damdamin ko.
Over naman sa ito. Pero that's because these sources prove that Philippines had already trade, governance, and culture before the colonization happened.
Exactly.
Meaning, hindi tayo discovered. We were already part of international networks. Exactly. So when someone says Philippine history started with colonization, so basically we're like, that's being fake news yan. It's historically incorrect. Historically incorrect.
I feel beautiful because I treat my hair with keratin. Keratin? But not just keratin. Dapat may plus. May plus? Kaya I choose yung keratin na may plus. Keratin Plus.
Now let's compare the different historical sources to help us understand the past better.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Kasi if one source lang yung tinitingnan natin, we cannot see the full picture. So, but when we compare it with the other sources, mas nagiging clear yung picture. Kung ano talaga yung story naman.
Really meant some different perspectives. It's better to see one perspective, compare it.
Ako nga parang group project lang. Like, mas complete kapag maraming perspectives, different perspectives from different people. At mas masarap magkape with your buddies.
So we've decided to relocate to another place and we decided to be here. So now let us compare this with another historical account written by Antonio Pigafetta during the Magellan expedition.
So aside sa ito Antonio Pigafetta's works, there's also the Boxer Codex. So it is a manuscript from the 16th century as well that actually shows drawings of Filipinos and describe their clothing, culture, and social status.
Diba lang mga voting sa ulo naman
Oh yeah,
sabi niya.
very nice. So, which proves that our ancestors really had a strong cultural identity. So, like they had a drip of culture before like colonization. So, bago pa tayo na-colonize, so parang umaara na talaga sila. Wow!
So Chinese records also supported Chao Jua-Kua's observations. For example, the traveler Ma Juan wrote about Southeast Asian trade network linked to China.
Panganin mo, Mawan. And these records show that Southeast Asia, including the places connected to the Philippines, were already part of the trade network linked to China. So, Vietnam. Maybe. So manang matinga mo natin mga daghang made in China products. Yes. Made in China products. Hindi made in Japan.
So when we put all of these sources together, Chao Jua-Kua, Pigafetta, Chinese trade records, and modern histories, we start to see the bigger picture. So to wrap up today's historical...
Ay,
Natapos na ta? I'm the host.
mag-host.
I make the rules. So to wrap up today's historical Chika, the writings of Chao Jua-Kua show that long before colonization, every Filipino communities were already a part of a regional trade networks in Asia. His book, Zhufan Shi, I could be pronouncing it wrong, but anyways, described places like Mai was active in trading communities, exchanging goods such as beeswax, cotton, pearls, tortoise shells with Chinese merchants.
And by the way, ano nga ulit yung Mai?
Mai? What's Mai? It's the historical, like...
Mindoro?
Mindoro na.
Mindanao. Okay, and when we compare the account of Antonio Pigafetta, we get a clearer picture of Filipino culture and society. Pigafetta didn't just talk about trade, he also described local customs, leadership, and everyday life in the communities like Cebu, Samar, and many more places.
So like other sources also support these observations, like historians like William Henry Scott explained that early Filipinos already had organized barangays and complex social structures before Spanish colonization. So na-organize na dyan na nagpulo lang tayo sa speed.
And historical records like the Boxer Codex and the writings of Juan also show that Southeast Asia, the Philippines, including the Philippines, was already connected through trade and cultural exchanges.
So, what's the takeaway of today's episode? Ano nga ba? Pangga. Hindi na siya. Take away na siya.
So the takeaway from today's episode, Philippine history didn't just start from colonization. So our ancestors were already active traders. Like, noon pa man, even before we were colonized, active traders na talaga sila. And they organized communities and a part of a wider Asian network. So, na-add na talaga sila sa GC. Exactly. Hindi na isolate. They had community way before colonizations. That is why historians compare different sources. Each author sees the past from their own perspective, but when we connect them together, we get a fuller and more accurate story. We see the bigger picture in comparing different sources, because there are instances where one history is different from another because some things are taken out just for the sake of it. Like, in their perspective, it's wrong or it's right.
Like yung one historian is ganito yung point of view niya sa isang story, tapos yung isa is about contradicting. So, the bias. Yeah.
Exactly. And honestly, the more sources we explore, the more we realize that our history is deeper, richer, and way more interesting than what we usually see in a short textbook summaries. Like, sa websites now, na puro ano na lang, thumbnail na lang yung nakalagay.
Clickbait.
So, the moral of today's Chika, don't rely on just one source. Explore different perspectives, question the narratives, and keep learning about the past.
Facts.
True.
Tama.
Tama ka dyan.
And
May tama ka.
when we actually explore different historical sources, we realize that our ancestors were already part of a dynamic and connected regions back then.
Yeah, so history isn't just about memorizing dates. Like, kung mag-exam ta, mag-memorize ka o mga lain-lain mga dates.
Talabad na sa ulo.
June 19, 1861. August 12.
June 12.
June 12.
June 19, 1861. Sa tayo nun, result pagpasil niya.
Aray.
Another perspective. Another source.
Historian.
Consonamum S. Char.
It's not just about dates or kanang mga uyab ba ni Rizal ana diha usagin ang mga siblings. Rivera. Memorize.
Uy, di ba di siya? Antonio Pigafetta. Adili si Blumen. Sino si Blumen? Best friend.
Best friend.
Censor to, censor.
All baliw. So it's about understanding how our past shaped who we are today. It's because of our history that we are able to live comfortably right now. Like, nata sa cafe ka rin.
Thank you, Rizal. Thank you, Rizal.
Diba? And if we look closely, the past is actually full of interesting stories because diba, sa atong mga past, we can absorb and learn some stories there na atong ma-apply sa atong present today. Parang chismis lang, but make it historical.
Slay! So that's it for today's episode. This is... Yes.
Oh my God.
Ako'y
Galing na si siya.
don't get to decide.
Wala, pagbayad na ito. Uy, Brenda, mag-check kayo. Pagbayan. Dahunon.
So again, this is it for today's episode of Chika ni Marites.
Sinulat ni Juan.
Well.
If you learned something today, like, comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Thank you so much. See you next Chika!
Like and share.
Click the thumbnail.
Bye guys.
Click the power off.
Who's Antonio Pigafetta? The Great Voyage Around the World.
Kay awan, hindi kat-kat man. High five.